Hello guys and welcome to the Boss GT-100 tones. Today we are going to basically have two videos in one. How to get a wet-dry wet tone, or rig if you want, and how to get the guitar tone of the song Entre dos Tierras by the band Heróis del Silencio. First we are going to hear the first part of the song, the first seconds, to get the full idea of the guitar sound. So as you can hear, the guitar sound is in stereo, basically. The main guitar is in the center, the dry sound, and the echoes are stereo, left and right. This is basically what we can think of when talking about wet-dry wet rig, especially from the 80s. What we can do here to simulate those types of rigs, because as you might know, the Boss GT-100 and other units from this era, they don't have the more advanced routing options that most modern units have. So in the GT-100, what we can do is make use of this second signal chain of the second amp, because with the Boss GT-100 we can use two amps at the same time. So what we are basically going to do, select the divider block, select the dual mode, and make sure that both amps have the same settings. For this song, to better show an example of a wet-dry wet rig, we are going to select the delay option, put it here in the second amp routing option. Here we have basically two choices, the pan delay and the dual left and right delay. If we are going to select the other options, we are basically going to have a wet-dry rig. I will show you that afterwards, but now we are going to focus only on getting this tone and showing the wet-dry wet rig. So I'm going to select dual left and right. I've searched the BPM of this song, as I usually do. Basically it's 166, which I'm going to select here. And we are going to make sure the echoes are correctly timed. If I remember correctly for this song, I think it's a quarter note here, and in the right side it's a half note. Let us see. The purpose of having a wet-dry wet rig and also wet-dry rigs is to make sure the wet effects are clear and not, how do I say this, coloring the dry sound. That's why we put the delay in a different routing than the main amp by using the second amp. So to make sure the echoes here are clean and precise and not being affected by the dry sound, we basically do this. We click on the direct mix knob and we roll off all the way down to 0. So now it sounds like this. It's subtle, but you can see that the echoes are more clean, because if we roll up the direct mix knob, the dry sound became more pronounced and it colored a little bit of the wet effect, which in this case is a delay. I'm just going to put a chorus here. to get the chorus sound of this tone, it's not really a chorus because, as I searched online, it's really a pitch shifter. So you select in effects 1 or 2. I always select 2 just because it's always the first one I see. You select pitch shifter, you go to the quick setting and select detune mono. Select on, and now it sounds like this. Now it sounds more like the tone of the song. So, as you can hear now, you hear the wet sound, you hear the dry sound in mono in the center of the sonic space, and the echoes in left and right. And this is basically what a wet dry wet and this is basically what a wet dry wet tone sounds like. If I remember correctly, you can only do this with the delay and the flanger also, because if we select here effects 1 and we go here, I'm going to turn off the delay. Flanger. You have here a knob that says separation. This is the stereo separation of the sound. I'm going to go here, the quick setting. The quick setting, I think, is the one of the best features of the Boston Studio. If you have a certain sound, it is probably here. For example, I wanted a stereo flanger, and here it is. As you can hear, the dry sound is at the center, and the effect that we just turn up, it's having different signals in the left and right speakers. When you have another effect here, like for example the chorus effect, because it only works with one let's say sound, just for simplicity's sakes, you can only have here a wet dry rig per se. So if I use the stereo chorus setting, turn off the direct mix, it sounds like this. You have to keep in mind, if you are using effects like this in this sort of context, in a wet dry rig, you have to make sure here in the mix you put the mode in pan dry, so it really selects, so it really splits the wet sound in the right channel, and so it splits the dry sound in the left channel and the wet sound in the right. We didn't do that before because those delays really work on the left and right speakers. And if we had put the pan left and right setting, the delays, although they are panning, they would only pan in the right speaker. So now that we have this mode selected, the chorus is now rightfully at the right speaker, like if you are playing with the jazz chorus amp. If you are trying to play live and you want to create some different sounds, especially if you are in a 3-piece band. I think this is a very good way to expand your sonic possibilities. So this is basically how to get a wet rig and also a wet dry rig. To get the guitar sound of Entre dos Tierras, you basically leave the delays always on and also have that pitch shifter enabled all the time. Sounds like this. In regards of the amps, I think the natural clean sounds good, but you rather have a more traditional type of clean tone. You can select maybe the Fender Clean Twin. And as I always say, the EQ section of the amp, it's up to each player and it's on guitar. I'm going to maybe turn on the bright switch. Let me just put the same amp here. So as you can hear, the left delay, it sounds lower than the other. So I'm going to increase it a little bit and increase also the feedback. So let us see now. Now for me, it sounds more balanced. I also recommend that in the amp section you change the cabinets to get a different sound and a more custom sound if you want. For example, now it sounds like this. It's almost like a different EQ. For the distortion sound, I just use a Boss overdrive. But you can use other types if you want. like the AD distortion. Well, this one actually sounds better. You can use a rat also. This sounds more like a fuzz, but you know, better use a AD adaptive distortion. I think this pedal uses like that. What do they call the MDP technology? I think it's even in the new Boss compressor. I don't remember, but I think that's it. So this is it. I hope this video has been helpful to you guys in learning how to get a wet, dry, wet and a wet, dry rig from your Boss GT-100, and for those of you who were searching how to get the Entre dos Tierras tone. I also hope this video was useful for that, and see you guys to the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can also ask what tones do you guys want me to make a video of. See ya.